Now available in paperback and e-readers. John Haynes, 1987. Learn lessons about life and teenage love in the 1980s in this coming-of-age John Haynes story. Get your copy of John Haynes, 1987 in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. A Brooklyn man allegedly went on a shooting spree on an illegal scooter that led to the death of one man and the injury of 3 others. All news footage used in this video is under fair use of United States copyright law of 1976 and is used in conjunction with my commentary.
Breaking news at 6, 4 people shot, 1 killed in random shootings that spanned 2 boroughs. The suspected gunman on a scooter is now in custody. Good evening, I'm Jessica Moore. Police say the suspect fired at innocent people from what they're calling an illegal scooter. It all started this morning in Cypress Hills, Brooklyn, and ended in Richmond Hill, Queens. That's where we find CBS 2's Alicia Reed. She's live with the update from police a short time ago. Alicia.
Jessica, police say that suspect was arrested less than 2 hours after that initial shooting that started in Brooklyn around 11 o'clock this morning and ended here in Richmond Hill just after 1 o'clock when that suspect was taken into custody. In total, 4 people were shot and one of them, an 87-year-old man, was killed. Now, police say the suspect was riding an illegal scooter with no license plate and randomly firing at his victims. The first victim, a 21-year-old man, was shot in the left shoulder. Police say while riding the scooter, the suspect approached the victim from behind and shot him once around 11:10 this morning. The second victim, that 87-year-old, was shot once in the back and died at Jamaica Hospital. Witnesses say the suspect was firing at a nail salon at 10819 Jamaica Avenue when he hit the elderly man. Minutes later, police say the suspect randomly fired at a group of people on the corner of 108th Street and Jamaica Avenue. Thankfully, no one was hurt in that incident. The suspect's last stop, just about 30 minutes after the first shooting, was at 134th Street and Jamaica Avenue, where police say a man was shot in the right shoulder. He was transported to Jamaica Hospital in stable condition. Now, police say surveillance video of the shooter was sent to the smartphones of every NYPD officer in what's called a critical message.
A mobilization was also called in order to marshal our resources and flood the area. As it became clear that these shootings were being carried out by the same perpetrator, I immediately held an emergency conference call with all of our top executives, including Chief of Department, Chief of Patrol, and the Detective Bureau. Armed with an image of the suspect, our officers fanned out across Queens, focusing on the main thoroughfares. Shortly after 1 p.m., officers from the 103 and 113 precinct spotted the shooter on his scooter and took him into custody without incident near 94th Street, confines of the 103 precinct.
Police say a 9mm firearm with an extended magazine was recovered inside the scooter. We're told he has 1 prior arrest for a traffic violation. There's still no word on a motive behind these shootings that police say were random. Again, 4 people shot, 1 of them dead, that 87-year-old elderly man. Live from Richmond Hill, Alicia Reed, CBS 2 News.
Thank goodness for the quick arrest. Alicia, thank you.
Now, in this alleged incident, 25-year-old Thomas Abreu allegedly got on an illegal scooter with a 9mm pistol with an extended clip and began allegedly shooting at random people throughout Brooklyn and Queens. And as he was shooting at random people throughout Brooklyn and Queens, he allegedly wound up shooting and wounding 3 men and allegedly wound up taking the life of an 87-year-old man who was allegedly on his way to a mosque to go to pray. Now, the NYPD see the alleged actions of Thomas Abreu as an isolated incident. However, when I take a critical examination of the alleged actions of 25-year-old Thomas Abreu, they fit the pattern and profile for beta males that I talk about in my book, The Man Crisis. And the police don't have a motive for these alleged shootings. However, when I look at the behavior of Thomas Abreu allegedly participated in, the motive, I believe, for these shootings was, one, he wanted power, and two, he wanted attention. Now, with most beta males, they oftentimes feel insecure and inadequate about themselves, and because they feel insecure and inadequate about themselves, they feel like they don't have any power in their personal lives, and the only way they can go out here and have power is in a place I call the secret world in my book, The Man Crisis. Now, inside of the secret world, many beta males feel like it's safe for them to express their natural masculinity and natural sexuality, and because they feel safe in the secret world, having this power, this is the place where they feel comfortable about naturally expressing themselves. And oftentimes when they're in the secret world, many beta males have things like weapons that make them feel powerful. And with these attachments, they get a rush of power, and that rush of power makes them feel like they are powerful. So what they want to do is be able to express that power in the real world, but because they only feel safe in the secret world doing this, what they do is look to express their power and anonymously. And that's basically what I believe motivated Thomas Abreu to allegedly get on this scooter without license plates. He thought that if he was out here anonymously, he could go out here and express his masculinity and have the power he wanted in his life as a man by participating in these shootings. And he thought that if he could go out here and get that rush of power, he could do this anonymously and nobody would know that it was him going out here participating in these shootings. Unfortunately, Thomas Abreu was living in a rose-colored reality like most beta males do, and as he was living in this rose-colored reality, he could not see that in the real New York, there are lots of cameras recording his actions. Moreover, there are witnesses on the street who could easily identify him, because again, most beta males don't live in our world. They live in a place that looks like our world. However, they live in a rose-colored reality where everything is completely distorted. And in that distorted reality, they believe that they can just go out here and do whatever they want without ever having to deal with any sort of consequences. And this is one of the reasons why a beta male will act impulsively to go out here and participate in their violence. They believe that since there's nobody there in their rose-colored reality to hold them accountable, they believe that they can go out here and get away with whatever crime that they participate in anonymously. And what they will do is run around out here looking to participate in these types of incidents, hoping that nobody will see them and get away with it. Unfortunately for Thomas Abreu, as related to his alleged actions, people did see him, and the NYPD got note of it. And as he was participating in his shooting spree, which started in Brooklyn and ended in Queens, police eventually wound up arresting him, and they wound up arresting him and charging him with attempted murder and first-degree murder as related to the alleged murder of that 87-year-old man who was just walking on his way to the mosque to go to pray, but didn't know that this would be the last day of his life. Unfortunately, Thomas Abreu didn't care about any of those people because he was acting on his impulses, hoping to get attention, hoping that the media would go out here and be able to record his infamous event. All he was thinking about was the attention he was going to receive for participating in this heinous crime and being able to get that rush of power as related to being seen as some sort of menace to society. So this is the way many beta males think, because many beta males have extreme low self-esteem, and because they have extreme low self-esteem, many beta males don't think they can go out here and accomplish anything by going out here to work towards a goal. No, they believe that they can only accomplish something through infamy, and they believe that the only way they can achieve something is by going out here and hurting other people, not ever thinking about helping other people. No, everything about the beta male is all about himself and all about him getting the attention for himself for participating in a crime that he believes will go out here and let people know who he is. That's because the beta male has low self-esteem and does not value himself as a man, and many times beta males don't value themselves as men due to the dysfunctional way they have been raised by women. Because what leads to the beta male going out here and believing that they have a low sense of self-worth is because they do not know what their role is as a man. They do not know what their purpose is as a man. And they don't know this because they have been raised with mostly female life skills and female survival skills by women. And because they've been raised by women in most cases or beta male fathers, they don't know how to go out here and work to accomplish something as a man that will make them famous. So they go out here and look to be infamous by going out here and participating in heinous crimes like this shooting spree that this beta male participated in by just riding around on this scooter. Now, most of these beta males, as they live in the rose-colored reality, act on their impulses, and as they act on their impulses, sadly, they never think about the consequences of their actions or how they will impact others, like the 87-year-old man who lost his life, or the other 3 individuals who were injured, or even think about themselves. Now, Thomas Abreu, as he was allegedly on this scooter riding around shooting people, didn't think about more important things than the attention he would receive from this story. No, he didn't think about more long-term things, such as his freedom. This is a big problem with most beta males. They just act on their impulses, never thinking about more important things like 1, consequences of your actions, and 2, what you would lose as related to going out here and participating in impulsive behavior. No, it's all about gratifying the feelings that they have at the moment, and because they're only focused on gratifying their feelings at the moment as related to getting whatever dopamine rush that they get from having any sort of power that they have as related to this weapon, they only think about how they feel, not ever thinking about the lives that they're going to destroy, or even thinking about their own freedom. Because after participating in this series of shootings that led to the death of a 87-year-old man, Thomas Abreu didn't think about that there was going to be the whole possibility of getting caught, or worse, the possibility of his entire life completely changing. Because over the course of just a couple of hours, Thomas Abreu went from being a free man who had just only had a traffic violation to possibly being on the road to having a felony conviction for murder and attempted murder, where he will possibly going to prison for the rest of his life. And he's going to be going from being a free man on the streets in 2023 to possibly winding up in prison for the rest of his life, where he will have to deal with the COs telling him when to get up, when to go to sleep, when to go to work, and also will have to deal with the social hierarchy of a new world run by inmates like Bubba, Tiny, Roscoe, Big Dave, Melvin, Rodney, and Mr. Sprinkles. And these individuals will be going out here dictating his life as they turn him into from an inmate to who had a tight end into a wide receiver who will be getting turned out by those inmates, who will be trading him for Little Debbie snack cakes, peppermint gumballs, ramen noodles, packets of Crystal Light, packets of Taster's Choice coffee, packets of Flavor Aid, off-brand Oreo cookies, off-brand lemon cookies, off-brand duplex cookies, Fritos chips, snack pack puddings. This man went from being a free man to a man who's basically going to have his manhood and dignity violated inside of an upstate penitentiary. And this is what many beta males never understand about why a man has to think critically about his actions and think long-term about his actions, because one stupid decision can lead to you losing your freedom, and one stupid decision can completely change your life. And that's basically what happened here with Thomas Abreu. He basically went from, again, being a free man to winding up being a man who's on his way to getting turned out in the penitentiary, and it all is because of the dysfunctional way he was raised. And this is the big problem with most males here in America. And Thomas Abreu is just the tip of the iceberg of over 100 million American men who have been raised over the last 60 years, because over the last 60 years, as we've had a feminist and gynocentric culture here in America, most of these males, they don't know how to be men. And this is why we're seeing this bumper crop of men in crisis who have gotten progressively worse after the COVID-19 lockdowns, because that's when many of these ticking time bombs, which have been going off regularly over the last 5 years, have accelerated to the point where we're seeing these individuals going out here and participating in more and more violent crimes, basically almost every day or every hour of every day, because many of these males don't know how to be men. And again, many of these men don't know how to function in the world. And because they don't know how to function in the world, they go out here and participate in dysfunctional and violent behavior that is antisocial like this. But many in government won't ever talk about the real reason for all of this increase in violence, like the dysfunctional policies they enabled in the 1960s, which led to the social engineering of the beta male. Nor will they ever talk about the enabling of the beta male that they've done here in New York with policies like bail reform, which have enabled many beta males to believe that they will never be held accountable, because there is no boundary established by government to let beta males like this understand that there are consequences for their actions when they go out here and act impulsively to go participate in a crime. The other part they won't talk about is the way we have been raising boys to become men, because they don't want to upset most of the women out there who don't want to admit that they were just terrible parents who have gone out here and not raised boys properly. No, we have created a just nightmare as related to this kinder, gentler, softer male who has turned out to be a rage-filled, dysfunctional individual. And over the course of the last 60 years, this is what we've been seeing, an increase in frequency of violence that has escalated to the point where it's basically unsafe to walk around the city. You just basically feel like you're walking on eggshells, because these beta males, you never know what will set them off or what harm they will do to someone. And that's all because we have a man crisis in America that we don't want to acknowledge. No, you'll have people who want to deflect and talk about gun control, but it's not about the guns, because here we have a man who had a gun, possible illegal gun. And again, this is not about guns or background checks. This is about the way we raise boys to become men, because a boy who has been raised properly is not going to go out here and act on his impulses and look to go out here and shoot a firearm randomly and wantonly into crowds of people. No, a boy who was raised to be a responsible and conscientious man is not going to put his community in jeopardy like this. No, a boy who was raised to become a healthy man would have gone out here and just spent his weekend doing something else, rather than going out here acting impulsively and going out here and going from a free man to winding up becoming a man who's going to wind up in crisis inside of Rikers and a penitentiary. That's the difference between a boy who was raised right and a boy raised dysfunctionally. And when I look at the alleged behavior of Thomas Abreu, it basically, again, it fits that pattern and profile for beta males. And again, America has a beta male problem, not a gun problem, because if boys were raised right, they would not be out here looking to go out here and participate in this kind of violence. But America doesn't want to acknowledge its man crisis because most people don't want to hold women accountable for the way we raise boys to become men. And we also don't want to upset many of the businesses that would have to change the way they did things so we could go out here and raise healthy men instead of going out here and raising a whole bumper crop of men in crisis. Now, if you want to learn what leads to individuals like this becoming dysfunctional to the point that they become violent and a way to avoid raising a boy to become like this, you can pick up my book, The Man Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find The Man Crisis at other online booksellers like Smashwords, the iBook Store, and Google Play. And if you want to see me make more videos about The Man Crisis, you can send a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the link in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited, The Man Crisis. Learn why so many men are struggling to find their way in an increasingly gynocentric world in The Man Crisis. Get your copy of The Man Crisis in paperback and Kindle Unlimited today. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now available in paperback. From the author of the critically acclaimed book, The Man Crisis, comes The Woman Crisis. Learn why so many women have become lost in their quest to have it all in The Woman Crisis. Get your copy of The Woman Crisis in paperback at Amazon.com and online booksellers today.